Thank you very much, Holly. Okay, don't you just hate whiny kids? Yes, we do. Even worse when they're your own. Even worse when you're out and they're your own. Our coffee group today has tips on how to encourage your children to ask nicely. Welcome back, parenting advisor John Cowan and mum blogger Tui Fleming. Morning, guys.
Good morning.
So, Tui, when do you reckon the whining kicks in?
Well, you just said birth just before. Perhaps not that early, but I think it's probably less of an age than a stage, and I think it's when they start to become independent, realise they've got a bit of an identity, they start to understand cause and effect, and that they can influence people and outcomes.
And they can just keep on going.
Exactly, yeah.
Why do you think they whine, John?
Because it works. I've learnt that if they whine, they can wear us down and we'll give in.
Yeah.
And so that's the clue on how to defeat it too, make sure it doesn't work.
They break us is what they do.
Yeah.
Tui, are we talking about tantrums as well, or just whining?
Oh, I think any kind of act-out behaviour from children is a cry to be heard, really. And, you know, it's our job actually to stop and listen and acknowledge the need or the desire that's going on for them, because whining, tantrums, whatever it is, it's all about communicating something that they need. And so I think it's all tied up with listening, actually.
What do you reckon we should do then, John, to discourage the sort of whiny part of the behaviour?
Well, I think they're wanting to communicate something, so let them know that there are better ways of doing it. And you can say things like, hey, if you want me to listen to you, you have to use a nicer voice. Pop away, pick up your nice voice, come back again, and then I'll listen to you. And they'll come back, ask in the nice voice, and then you go, no. No, you don't have to be cruel. But just let them know that, hey, I'm not going to be listening to this. In fact, if you don't want to spend your life trapped with whiny, grizzly kids, why don't you promise yourself you're never going to give in to a request made in a whiny, grizzly voice?
The problem is, though, is sometimes you feel you're in a situation where you're getting pressure from other children that it's just the easiest option, which is not the answer, is it? Tui, does it just boil down to having a respectful tone for you, do you think?
No, I don't think it boils down to that, because I think children can have a respectful tone, and some parents might, you know, they might ignore them, or they might be too busy to listen to them in that moment. So I actually think it's a bit of a reverse, really. If you or we stop to listen to them and acknowledge them, at the end of the day, little people are humans, and we all just want to feel significant and a sense of belonging. That's what it really all comes down to. So if we actually listen to them and give them that sense of significance, then they will probably use a respectful tone. So I think it's more of the reverse. Because
quite often as parents we're busy, or we may be checking something on our phones and they're talking to us, and as you know, you don't hear properly, do you?
Exactly.
And that's not what we want. John, is it still okay to say no when they've asked in the nice voice?
There's ways of saying no to your kids that let them know that, hey, I've heard what you said and I know what you want, and let's have a think about this, about when you could do it. And so there's nice ways of saying no to kids, actually.
Because sometimes it does feel like we are just saying no constantly.
Yeah, but if you say yes, but when you've done this, or yes later, or yes but I can't manage it just at the moment, let's make a note to when to do it, then you've just sounded so positive, but you've just said no.
or no, and this is why, you know, give them the reason and kind of educate them about what's going on.
So you're more about the educate rather than discipline?
Yeah, oh, don't get me wrong, I certainly discipline, and you know, there are consequences in our household for bad behaviour, but I do prefer to, well, whenever I'm making a decision or giving out some consequences, it's about telling them the why and explaining to them why I've made that decision so that they can learn.
I don't
our
actually
role.
differentiate between those words. I see good discipline is education.
Yeah, it is.
And so, you know, when people hear the word discipline and they think whacking, yelling and making kids feel bad, that's nothing to do with discipline.
No, not
discipline
that,
is thinking about how they'll handle something better in the future.
Okay, just quickly to finish up, what's your top tip for stopping the whine, both of you? Tui, you first.
Top tip. I certainly have, you know, given it back to them as good as I've gotten before, and, you know, given it back to them with a big old loud whine, and then they will say, Mum, don't talk to me like that. So, you know, that can work if you're absolutely needing to do that. But really, I just think it's stop, listen to them, acknowledge them, let them know that you're hearing what their need is, what their desire is, make them feel significant.
Great. John, very quickly.
My top tip would be to listen to Tui. Yeah, some mysteries aren't that deep. You know, why are my kids always whining and drizzling? Well, yes, listen to your own tone of voice sometimes.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, both of you, today. Great advice, as always. Thanks for joining us, Tui and John. Now, up next, Nikki Wicks will be showing us how to make her sumptuous.